What is up, everybody? I hope you're all doing well and having a good day. Another week has passed since the last episode, so it's time for part 7 of the Heavensward series. This series started out as a 15 years of WoW veteran tries. You know, one of those. I played WoW pretty much all my life, and I switched to Final Fantasy around 2.5 months ago, I think. But WoW's but a distant memory. This is all just a Final Fantasy playthrough now, and I'm loving the game. There's a lot to cover in this one. I've just completed 3.3, the Dragonsong War, and it blew my mind. It completely blew me away. It was incredible. And I did the Warring Triad bosses in between, and then some other fun stuff on stream that I want to share as well. But yeah, it's been a really good week. We've done a lot this week. I had so much fun in the game. I think Heavensward is just like the pinnacle of everything I wanted from an MMO, and it's just delivered. So let's get straight in to part 7. Welcome everybody to part 7 of the Heavensward Final Fantasy 14 playthrough. This has been incredible. I never knew the story and the cinematics and the characters could get to the level they've got to in the post Heavensward content, like the post 3.0. I'd have to say, like in ARR, the end of ARR and the end of 2.55 were phenomenal, but that bit in between, like 2.123, I found very dry. I really struggled to get through that, and it really started to pick back up at the end, and from there through to where we are now has just been non-stop amazing. There's been no dry moments the whole of Heavensward, in my opinion. I've absolutely loved it. So, but I didn't have high expectations for the post Heavensward story, like the 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, but it's been amazing. It really has. So it started out with the introduction of Kryl. I think is how it's pronounced, who is a really, really cool character. Big fan. I don't want to say she's one of my favorites, because whenever I do, that character dies. So I'm just going to say, I like Kryl. Good character. And then one of the coolest moments of this so far has to be the introduction of the Warrior of Darkness. This blew my mind when they got introduced. I was not expecting it. Completely shocked me. It's like their own little party of, I guess, evil characters. They kind of seem to side with the Scions, so they obviously got like evil intentions, but they seem very, very powerful, and they were quick to attack. And this shocked me. I was not expecting this. I thought they'd come across as like very friendly and try and like gain your trust and then stab you in the back and play like that sort of role. But they just put out straight aggression, anger, and pretty much evil. So from the start, they just let you know they were just not your friends. And all dressed in black. I think they look so cool. I'm not sure how much you get to know these characters, or if the side characters are just side characters. But yeah, this whole like story they're setting that obviously don't know much about yet is incredible. And it's so nice to see Tancred back. Tancred, Chadcred, whatever you want to call him now, he's back. He looks like an absolute legend. Just such a boss. I'm so glad he's back. I can't believe I forgot his name at the start of the game and forgot he even existed, but he's definitely earned his place in my mind now. I'm a big fan. This cutscene was amazing. And then it felt like the story took you with Sir Aymeric to help re-establish his leadership and the dragons, and everything just kind of got political. And I thought that I'd get a bit dull, but stuff like this really, really kept it interesting. You made enemies, you made friends. You found that the dragon story isn't so black and white. There's good dragons, there's bad dragons. There's dragons that are doing the right things for the wrong reasons and the wrong things for the right reasons. And then there's people in Ishgard doing the same thing. There's people with, you know, grey morality. And it was nice that you didn't have constant knowledge and like a set, like with Thordan, you knew you hated him and you knew you were going to kill him like most of the way through. Whereas here, your emotions were just wrecked back and forward like this. Man, this threw me. I was not expecting this one bit. At the end of 2.55, I kind of said that it has Game of Thrones levels of twist. And it's not the big twist, it's the little things that you just don't expect a game to do, like throwing a young girl off of a bridge. It's so brutal for an MMO, in my opinion. I've just never seen that before. And they're just not afraid to do it. They're not afraid to go down that road of poisoning and killing and just evil people doing evil things and good people saving the day. And I really, really like where the story's gone in Ishgard. Even what I would say are the lower points are just so good. And then I think I found a cult. So in between story, I was doing my normal like sulking around in Limsa, and there were all these red-robed people bowing and people playing music, and it was just very suspicious. And I whispered a few of them to ask what was going on, and no one replied, or they said, you have to join to find out. Very suspicious. Does anyone know? It was on EU Lite. Very suspicious. And then the dungeon the most creepy dungeon I think I've ever seen, even worse than Hawk Manor, even worse than Hammer hard mode. This was I've pretty much wiped this from my memory. I don't even want to think about this dungeon again. It was so damn creepy, and you'll if you've done it, you'll know why. The ending was not. It was so creepy. So yeah, generally the dungeon was pretty good. You went through and there were like everything was upside down, and it was very like spectral, and it was a really, really cool dungeon. I did enjoy it. It was pretty fun. But the ending, man, the ending. Oh, the ending. Only watching this back in the edit did I realize where you're walking here is the upside down of a castle. Like you're literally on the roof. I didn't realize that when I was streaming it and playing it. But watching it back now, I've just realized we're on the roof and everyone falls to the roof to fight you. And there's chandeliers coming out of the ground because you're on the roof. Yeah, never ever realized that. So that makes it even more cool. But what's not very cool is this. Nah. Nope. This creeped me out so hard. Oh man, so creepy. I played a few horror games, but for some reason this just really creeped me out. So yeah, you fight these creepy ass dolls for a while, and then they turn into like these puppeted dolls. It's just so weird. I don't know why they're so freaky. And then they turn into basically a horror monster. Just oh no, it was so weird. Does this creep anyone else out as much as it did me, or was I just like, I don't know, weirdly, have I got a phobia of, I don't know, dolls maybe? I don't know. It's so weird that I completely lost my rotation and my thought process playing this. I don't want to watch it back in the edit. Let's just end here. At least we take some solace in the fact that we beat them and it was over. But can you ever really beat evil? I don't know. And then what a twist. What a absolutely massive twist. I never expected this. I've not been shy in saying that I thought Minfilia was a bit of a dull character. She definitely was not on the list of good characters for me. I didn't find myself attached to her. I didn't find myself interested. I kind of dreaded talking to her at some points because I don't know. There was something about her character that felt very monotonous, and I just felt she was used to push the story along. Maybe there's something cut out of 1.0 that added something, but I always found the characters around her more interesting. So this was so strange because it wasn't until this happened and you realize she was gone that you kind of felt sad. And obviously if you feel sad, you must have cared. So I had a bit of a moment here. This really quite hit me because you realize she was such a good and wholesome and pure character, and she was the whole point. She was like the leader of the Scions, and yeah, this was deep. This was really interesting move of the story, and definitely a move of emotions. What did everyone else think here? Like, is it quite a common opinion to not be a big fan, or am I just a bit heartless that I didn't like her at the start? I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. And did this change your point of view on Minfilia? And then it was time for something which people have been hyping up for a long time. People have been talking about the Warring Triads since pretty much I first got into Heavensward. And I didn't really know what to expect. People was like, oh, it's a really weird set of trials. And I had no idea what was happening. So I thought I'd have a go at tanking them all to see what they were like. And yeah, they were really interesting. Really interesting. I really didn't know what to expect because I wasn't sure why there was like 3 trials outside the MSQ in their own little story. But after playing through it, I completely get it. It's like how they do the raids, like they do like the Void Arc, which is like a set of raids with its own little story. And it was really cool to have a set of 3 little trials outside of the main story. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. The bosses themselves were so cool. They were like dark and edgy in this same place. The story behind it was amazing. I'm really impressed by this. I was not expecting it to be this good, but I get why everyone was hyping it up so much. And yeah, the first boss was Sephiroth. I can't remember how to say it. But yeah, this This was so epic. It gave me big like old school Diablo style vibes of how the bosses go into their phase 2 and they just like take over the entire map. Absolutely loved this fight. So cool. It's hard to say which was my favorite out of the 3 because each one was so unique. Yeah, the mechanics as well. I feel like there's new mechanics in the Warring Triads that I hadn't seen before. Maybe it's because I tanked them and I haven't done much tanking, but I got to see a lot of tank busters. I got to see a lot of things that resulted in full wipes that I probably wasn't expecting. So there weren't so many like called out spells in this fight, but there were a lot of telegraphed things. Like he'll pull his arms back. There was no spell, but if you see him pull his arm back, you're about to die. So use all your defensives. And then things like this mechanic here where he'd raise his arms back to sweep the entire battlefield. And if you weren't in the green thing to get pushed in the air, you'd get swept off and die. So cool. And obviously if you go in here for the first time like we did and you weren't expecting it, that killed us the first time because we didn't know you had to jump them. And there was no big telegraph to know it was coming other than seeing his arm, and you've got to use intuition. So I really like that. I don't know. I like not knowing what to do and learning from failure. But yeah, this was really good. This was maybe my favorite of the 3. I'm not sure, but it was definitely a big surprise. I was not expecting it, and it felt a lot longer than most trials that I've seen in the MSQ. Big fan. And then I'd take a little tiny break from the Warring Triads because I realized I was tanking at level 60 and I hadn't done my level 60 quest. So I went and did that, and I made a comment last time that the Paladin questline isn't all that. And I stick by that decision. The Paladin class quests just brushed over me and not left any impact. Really just haven't I didn't dislike them, but they feel just fluffy. There's not really anything going on. The Dragoon quests are phenomenal. The 50 to 60 Dragoon story was phenomenal. Amazing story, and I'd recommend anyone to do it. The Scholar quests, 50 to 60, amazing. Absolutely loved it. So I love some of the job quests, but this one, the Paladin, just ain't it. It just really is very, very bland. Not much happens at all. And then the ending was as dry as the build-up. So yeah, anyone who's gone through the Paladin quest, what do you think? Am I just an outsider? Do people love it? Or is it like a general consensus that it is just a bit flat? And does it get better from 60? Because I'm going to stick with the Paladin. I love the Paladin. I love playing Paladin. But the story just is more of a chore. I don't skip it or anything, but there's not really much story in the story. It's just, yeah. Anyway, back to Warring Triads, right? The second boss, I will hold my hands up and say, I had no idea what was going on Sophia. No idea. So I tanked it, but being perfectly honest, I had no clue what was happening. I want to do this again, maybe on like extreme or just again normal, because we did it, I think, second time. So we did it pretty fast, but because we did it so quickly, I don't think I got all the mechanics. There was like scales that dropped down and you had to be on the right side of the scales. There was some like changes happening. There was some things going on the side. And yeah, being honest, I didn't learn it all. I survived and I pulled through. And yeah, I didn't learn everything I wanted to in here. There's so much going on. I still don't quite understand the scales. I think you got to balance the scales by being on the right side, maybe. I'm just not sure. But despite not really knowing what was going on and having the ability to soak a lot of damage as a tank, I did survive my way through it, and we got the kill in the end. But I definitely 100% want to go back here. A lot of people were saying this was their favorite one. So yeah, I am curious what it's like when you know what's going on. So we will return here 100%. Very cool fight, very cool boss as well. The story leading up to her was amazing. And then finally, not the most mechanically challenging boss, but by far the coolest looking and the most aesthetically interesting boss, in my opinion. This giant winged demon creature was just amazing. You thought he was like trapped, and then he just goes like Super Saiyan and just comes for you in this like, he's like a winged scorpion type demon. So cool, such a cool boss. It gave me a lot of like Ifrit vibes in how it was like, and how the monster looked and acted. Really, really cool. I was such a huge fan of this fight. Again, I'm definitely going back here and doing it on the harder difficulty because it was so fun. The Warring Triads as a whole, I mean, I think I said from the start, the trials are one of the best parts about this game, and the trials are something I wish WoW had have taken many years ago, because I think the trials are just so interesting to just go in and do an awesome piece of content, an awesome boss with no trash, no build up, not at the end of a dungeon. Just go in and fight a boss is so cool. And to think you can go do it on Extreme, you just walk in and have a go. Yeah, really like this boss. Really like the Warring Triads. And I definitely get what all the hype is about. I definitely get why everyone was talking about this for so long. It really is up there. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a few extra trials, so that's great. But the story that led them into why you're going there and what you're doing was really good. I absolutely love this. If people want to see it, I can release the full, it's only a couple of hours, I think, of like this plus the story. I can release like a full video of us on stream going through the Warring Triads together, like all 3 bosses and then the story in between. If you want to see that, let me know. Similar to how I did with like the Alexander video that I put up the other day. Yeah, if you want to see that, just be like a little edited down, probably like 30-minute video of us going through them all. Let me know. But yeah, that is the end of the Warring Triads. Absolutely phenomenal. And then somebody wanted to show me some other cool stuff people do with housing. So they showed me around like an RP coffee shop on Twintania, and this was really cool. I've seen it. I've been to a nightclub and I've been to a casino before, but I've never been to, because they're all like huge, massive, large plots with like loads of staff, and they're at night and they're really well put together, and they're just like another level. But this was like, I think it was a small plot, and it was like this small little coffee shop, and it was ran by like these people with like aprons. It's like going to like a little Starbucks, and you've got the tables set out, and there were literally people here just drinking coffee and chatting. And yeah, it really shocked me that this even exists. So I asked if I could take like a little tour of the place. So yeah, I had a little walk around. So you had like a coffee shop upstairs where there were generally lots of people just drinking coffee and chatting. And then you go down and there's like this butler guarding the door. And then you go downstairs to the coffee shop, and there's more of like a night venue kind of vibe, like a more lively looking vibe. You've got the giant thing on the wall. There's like a bar downstairs. There's like a dance floor. Very different. Very not what I was expecting. What people can do with these small plots is amazing. I'm really shocked that people can. I wish I had this creative flair that some people have. I can't imagine this was easy to make, but every little unique detail and little minute thing that they put in just adds to, you want to make it a coffee shop, you want to make it like the smoking cigarette next to the armchair. Like every little thing they put in adds to the character. And yeah, I think somebody said when I was on stream, you give people the freedom and you'll be amazed what they can make. And that's so true. You give them the tools to make something cool, and they really do make something amazing. And yeah, this place was cool. I'm sure there's lots of other places like it and lots of other different things. This is the first sort of thing like this I've seen, and I was really impressed. I'm definitely going to come here at some point. I really like it. And then I did say this might be a little bit of a longer video than normal. I think this is time for 3.3. 3.3 was phenomenal. And yeah, I had a bit of a busy week. We did quite a lot this week, so there's a lot to cover. So yeah, we did 3.3, and then you have to go and request aid from, I think it was Horace Valga. You have to request aid from one of the dragons to help fight Nidhogg. And yeah, you go into this dungeon, and this was really different. I think the lead up to the final boss was meh. It was okay, it was fine. But the final boss was so cool, so unique. So I'm gonna jump straight there. I think the Kraken in oh my god, what's the boss with the Kraken? What's the pirate themed dungeon with the Kraken was amazing. I really liked that. So this gave me huge the Kraken vibes, because you have to manage like jumping around all the little portals, jumping around all the little islands to be in the right place and be in the right area. And I think I found this quite hard at first, but once I got the hang of like, you just have to get to the boss and follow the boss and avoid the AoEs and get the ads down. It was really cool. This I think anytime they make a boss unique, it's so easy just to put a boss somewhere, tank and spank, and just have a couple of mitigation moves. And it's so easy to rinse and repeat that. And that's what happens a lot in World of Warcraft, unfortunately. But what I love about this game is there's so much uniqueness. There was no need to make these platforms that you had to jump on and off of. There was no need. And if they wanted to do that, they could have done it just like the Kraken. It could have been identical to the Kraken. But they didn't. They made it different. They put so much different stuff in that it doesn't feel like the Kraken mechanics, even though they're reusing the Kraken mechanics. They've made it unique in that it's its own fight with its own mechanics. And I love it. It was so cool. And to be fighting this giant dragon in this big test was amazing. I really liked it. Only other thing I think I maybe didn't cover is the little Moggle fight you have to do leading up with like the Good King Moggle mod. That was fun as well. I don't know how replayable this dungeon will be because it was more like the shock factor I liked. There was so much shock factor in here. I really liked it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it again and doing it on the roulette maybe, or doing it again with friends just to see what it's like a second time, because the first time it was phenomenal, completely blew me away. Really, really cool. And then hands down, the greatest cutscene in the entire Final Fantasy game so far. This was just, man. I mean, my channel is Medieval Marty. I love knights and dragons and all that stuff, you know, warriors and, oh man. So this was just insane. The two dragons, good and bad, you know, dark and light, fighting it out with the knights, fighting the little drakes and the dragons as well. It was just on another level. I did this on stream and I completely lost my mind watching this. I can post that as well if people want to see it, but I never expected anything to be this cool. There were no words. There were no words to how good this was. I thought 3.0 would be the pinnacle of Heavensward, but this makes 3.0 and Thordan look like a meme. This was just, in my opinion, just a complete step up. It was just incredible. I can't imagine anything better. And the story itself was so good. It just makes me think back to ARR, and when I played through ARR, everyone kept telling me, you know, this isn't even that good. You've got no idea what's coming. And I was like, no, ARR is really good. I'm enjoying it. This dungeon's fun. This trial's fun. And they were just like, you've got no idea. Like, you've got no idea what's coming. Compared to everything else, this is trash. And I was just like, nah, you're wrong. This is fine. This is good. And now I'm here. I'm going to say the same thing. If anybody else hasn't got to Heavensward yet and you're enjoying ARR, boy, you're in for a treat. ARR compared to this is that massive step up. There's no better way to say it than it's like a different game. There's no dry points in the story. There's no dungeons or trials I've not enjoyed. I can't think of any downsides to Heavensward other than I want more. It really is that simple. I just loved it. I can't say a bad thing against Heavensward. The characters, amazing. The story, amazing. The fights, amazing. The soundtracks, absolutely bang. Really good. Really, really good. I mean, I'm trying to be critical and find flaws in Heavensward, but I really can't. I really struggle to. And remember, everyone, a smile better suits a hero. This really got me in the feels, man. Horshfont and Giselle turning up here, helping you have the courage to pull the eyes off of Estinian. Just, oh man, so good, so good. I was 100% convinced he was going to die here. I was convinced this was going to kill him, but they still managed to give it that amazing, you know, Lord of the Rings style, where he wakes up in bed with all his friends around him and he's just tired and he's just ready to move on. Like I say, I can't say a bad thing. Maybe it's because it's only just happened. Maybe in hindsight I'll find some flaws, but I cannot find a flaw with this part of the game. I mean, I've streamed like 5 days this week because I just don't want to stop playing it, and I just can't stop. I can't put it down, and I never thought the story would get me like that, but it sure has. And then you cast the eyes down into the abyss, and yeah, that's the end of 3.3. I'm not sure what's to come. People say like that's the end of the Heavensward story, so I'm not really sure what that means, but 3.4 is coming soon, I guess. I really don't want to leave Heavensward. It's been that good. I don't want to leave. It's been phenomenal. People say Shadowbringers is as good, but for me, Heavensward is everything I've ever wanted. So I loved it. That's all there is to it. And I think I'm going to wrap it up here. There's a lot covered here I mean, these weekly videos, it's so much nicer to not have the pressure of getting them out like every day, and releasing like 1 or 2 a week is so much. I feel like I'm enjoying the game more because I'm less pressured to pump out videos all the time, but it is hard squeezing everything into one condensed video. So I have been trying to release like the longer videos in between, like the Alexander full like 1 hour video, even though that was part of this series. And I'll do that again here. Like I can branch out the Warring Triads into another video, and I could maybe branch out like reaction to the 3.3 ending into another video, and keep these as summaries. And if you still like that, let me know, because It's much easier to edit, and it's much easier to summarize a week's activities rather than trying to show you what we did in a day, because that was hard when you get out of the, you know, the honeymoon period of the first couple of weeks, and you know, I don't know, you're progging a thing for a day, and that's all you've got to show. So yeah, I'd love to know if you're still enjoying this format, and if there's anything you want to see outside of these videos, let me know. Other than that, this game continues to blow my mind. I still don't have the ocean fishing mount, despite getting 9,000 points many times. One day we'll get 10,000 points. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you're new here, thank you so much. If you've been here from the start, you're a legend. Thank you. If you want to see more, subscribe to the channel. If you want to see these live, we stream pretty much 4 to 5 days a week right now, and they go on for like 5 hours. If you want to come to the streams, I will link my Twitch down below. We have a great time. Other than that, take care, everybody. Have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.